Hello! Yay! Happy, happy, happy. Can you believe where we are time-wise at this point? It is just so amazing to me how fast this year has been going by. And I see that my rainbows, oh, I like it. My rainbows are doing a little funky thing down on the bottom there. So with my rainbows up there. So let me see if I can make, oh, the rainbows are in my face. The rainbows are not bad right there. So we'll move that down. So good day. I'm so excited to be here with you on this fantastic Monday. And I'm actually watching myself here as well to make sure that I can monitor any questions that are coming in today. So I want to introduce myself first. My name is Cherie Krim. I am the author of The Business Case for Kindness. And The Business Case for Kindness is revolutionary based on, goodness gracious, decades of working within the business world. And really, the business case for kindness will show you and your company and, well, political, anything really, how kindness, respect, and trust hold the power to transform corporate America, have the power to transform politics, has the power to transform our world. And that's the really cool part about the business case for kindness, is that it's based on a principle that we all should lead with every day, and that is kindness. And I'm going to turn that off because that little thing, I know it's probably not bothering you all, but it's bothering me. So I am going to go ahead and turn that off and make that work. So yeah, there you go on that. So happy Monday. So I want to give you guys some background on where the business case for kindness came from. And this is a fun story because I worked for a long time within corporate America. And when I worked in corporate America, I saw the good, the bad, the ugly, the illegal. Yeah, those things happen. And these are things that we are so used to seeing in corporate America that we think they're normal. We think it's normal. People believe it's normal to be yelled at work. People believe it's normal to have to work every day of the week because their boss tells them they have to. This is not the world that any of us want. I know this. We have all been talking about leading with kindness, and we've been using it, but we don't know how to step up and to make the changes and to do the things that need to be done. So after I have my master's from Texas Tech University, and I spent a lot of time when I was there in graduate school doing research as well as teaching. And the one thing that we learned pretty immediately within executive skills, this is in master level classes, executive skills is, how to actively listen, how to problem solve, how to resolve a conflict with people. And that right there, that is the coolest part, because learning that and being involved in that really did shape me going forward and to what we need to do. So I created the KRT model. Now, this is the kindness, respect, and trust model. And the KRT model works just like, hierarchy of needs when you're looking at it. And I know it's kind of hard. I love the shiny. There we go. The respect, you start at the bottom, which is your kindness. And you want to know how to lead with kindness. And so I found a great video on why businesses do need to lead with kindness. And I wanted to share it with you before we go further on in this discussion, because empathy, kindness, nurturing, equality, equity, diversity, inclusion, all of these things are amazing. And it is exactly where we're going to. And, it's just amazing to see what's happening with the article. So we're going to talk about some articles here too, because I found a great one I want to share. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to pull on the screen here. I am going to share this awesome video. And I found it, of course, YouTube. YouTube is always amazing. Anything you want in this world, you can find on YouTube. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull it up here, and we're going to watch this great video on why it pays to be kind.
We often talk about the idea that every human has the capacity for kindness, the ability to be kind. So it's not that we're born without it. I think like anything, you recognize it as a choice. And like anything you want to master, you have to keep practicing that. specific to workplace and research that's being done there, that is absolutely a newer arena. We focus on figuring out how to communicate out to people ways that they can choose kindness. We're looking at a behavior shift, not just an idea, something passive, but something that requires action. It's estimated that $200 to $300 billion is lost every single year due to stress-related illnesses of employees. One of the studies that we've seen that demonstrated the importance of kindness, especially in the workplace, was done by looking at kindness within Coca-Cola. And they studied this in Spain. And when they put these employees through this program where everything focused on kind behaviors and kind actions, they did see a shift across many of the areas that companies tend to focus on, such as stress, employee engagement, productivity, effectiveness of an employee. One of the things that has been lacking is any way to develop a baseline of kindness and how kind people are. So one of the things that we're actually working towards and trying to solve is having some form of a kindness index that allows us to understand the most effective way to measure it. So the leukocyte gene expression study, and it was the first ever done like this, took about 160 participants and tried to evaluate them over a 4-week period, understanding if they led with kind actions, how it affected their internal well-being. The people who were doing the kind acts did have an effect for a week after, where they felt positive about their day and their life. And in the control group, they didn't have any of those experiences. I think kindness will be viewed in 10 or 20 years as an absolutely essential requirement for companies to succeed. I don't think that they'll be able to survive if it's not a core part of how they live, what they value, and how they treat their employees. We often...
So, it's interesting. In my book, I talk about how the hostile work environments and the adult bullies, what it does to your mental. When you're yelled at day in and day out at work, what do? You go home and you bring that home. So kindness, as I think we all are starting to see, is going to be, we are tired, and I have it as a graphic right at the beginning of my book, that we are teetering between the command and control culture, which is the authoritarian, the do what I tell you to do culture, and the nurturing, equity, equality culture. And you see, it's a fight right now. And this is why everything seems to be, chaotic, right? You have businesses out there like Kellogg's who won't even negotiate with their union and just wants to rehire everyone. Okay, let's stop. That's ridiculous. You have people like AT&T who for 21 years straight now has been laying off employees. Isn't that a great thing to keep in track of? 21 years straight. Just imagine working at one of these companies and knowing that they don't value you. If they valued you, they wouldn't treat you like that. But they do, because somewhere in the 80s, and I say the 80s, workers have been taken advantage of for a very long time. But the greed is good mentality is what came across in the 80s. And that really was when we started seeing the corporate raiders, we started seeing all of these mergers, acquisitions, all of these things we saw. And we know what happened. We are here now. And it's so funny because all of these companies who are raising their prices, they're not taking less revenue or less anything. Watch how much money these companies make when they put out their reports next year. They gouged us. They all are. They can and they will, because they've been allowed to get away with this, because they think 100% return on investment is good. How about we stop thinking about using our employees just like, oh my goodness, the tornadoes that just hit and workers were in the Amazon warehouse working, of course. Instead of taking shelter, they were out working. What type of OSHA regulation is that? Oh, and I live in the great state of Florida who wants to create their own OSHA. So that's an even better thing. So, looking forward, I want to talk with you guys. I want to hear your stories of either your manager or your boss being kind or unkind. And I'm going to start off today with a story. And this was one story when I wrote this. This really, it absolutely just drove me crazy. This happened, I know, and all the stories in the book are real examples of good or bad management. And it's either your KRT in action or KRT in action, meaning, are you using the kindness and respect trust model, which is going to help you so much. So I want to tell you, this is a great one. Corey, he was one of my top managers. He had amazing knowledge and could find a solution when we didn't have the systems that were needed to make things work. Corey left my team in July and went to a new job within the company. I was so happy that he had gotten this job and had helped him with the transition. He helped me hire the most qualified person for his replacement. In February, when my company did its yearly reviews, Corey called to tell me he was rated as a meets some of his goals. You see, his budget was taken away and most of his projects were canceled. One of my top employees who exceeded all goals was now being rated where he couldn't even get a bonus. I didn't understand it, so I had to call his new manager, because that is the type of leader we all need, is somebody who's going to stand up for us even when we don't work for that person. And you see, I called the new manager and she was no help. She didn't see the problem. In fact, most of her team members' projects were canceled. So why weren't they all rated the same? I emailed my manager and human resources and let them know that what was going on. And the last line of my email was very simply, we are going to lose a high potential manager from our company at AT&T due to this treatment. They would not help, y'all. They told me to have Corey talk to his manager, which of course didn't help. Guess what happened a few months later? Corey left the company because of such discriminatory behavior by a manager. And he left and got a promotion in another business. Both Corey's manager and human resources was treating Corey like a number and not like the excellent employee that he was. And his manager never made his success her goal. If the KRT model was being used, she would have taken consideration for his work the entire year and not just when he was with her. You see, this is just like anything else out there, right? It's amazing to me. There's a Reddit thread, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull that up real fast that I found, which is just such a fun thing to look at. And it's called Anti-Work. And, I'm going to go and pull, I'm going to scroll really fast here for y'all. Sorry. I was scrolling through it right before we started, but you can sit here and right here, pictured 6 Amazon workers killed after Illinois tornado destroyed warehouse, right? Of course, Jeff Bezos was having a party. These are the things. Now, this graphic right here is super interesting because all history does anymore is repeat itself, right? So even going backwards in time, and we're just going to we'll go through the whole thing, right? In 1842, if workers can legally strike, no business will be able to survive. In 1887, give blacks an entire $1 for a day's labor, might as well burn my business to the ground. These are real words, y'all. Worker deaths are tragic, but anti-sweatshop laws would be the death of an industry in America. When workers can't be fired for joining a union, how can anyone stay in business? Banning child labor would destroy the economy, right? Wow. This is just, you read these things and you just want to go, what in the world were we thinking, right? So, go back, banning child labor would destroy the economy, right, little Timmy? 1938, we can't have a 40-hour work week because if we do, there'll be no employers left to hire anyone. 1964, equal pay for women and Negroes? Business can't stay afloat if federal regulations strangle us. 1970, health and safety laws are a formula for massive permanent unemployment. And if the new labor rights laws pass, business is doomed. It's so funny, right? It's always the same scenario over and over again. We're doomed, right? If we're going to raise wages. So it's so funny, right? We say we're going to raise these wages and that it's going to cost, and we're not going to be able to sustain it in a company, but they are. They're doing just fine. Target is. In fact, do you know, this is just, it's the easiest thing to know, but we don't always get it. When you treat your employees with kindness, your employees are going to treat your customers with kindness. And guess what's going to happen from there? Your customers are going to be happy. What do happy customers give you? More sales. It's not a hard thing to understand, but we don't do it. We so are stuck in this command and control culture that we need to be told what to do. These adult bullies are out there screaming and yelling. And I'll tell you, there are so many adult bullies who are CEOs of Fortune companies. It is true. And they're the people that follow them, who's to say they aren't adult bullies? I worked with many adult bullies. In fact, HR tried to gaslight me when I reported one of them, tried to tell me it wasn't so bad. Have you had that happen? See, it doesn't have to be that way. And that's why the business case for kindness is our path forward. So looking into and talking about the business case for kindness, we've given an example of bad management. How about we talk about what it's truly like to be a kindness leader? How would you treat people? What would you do? Are you doing it today? I know I am, but are you? Or am I? I know. It's one of these things you have to watch. You have to pay attention, and you have to lead with kindness in every single example. So I wrote my book. It was published in late in 2019. And at this point, it's been 2 years. It's amazing how great and what's been done and how many businesses have been helped by reading the book and doing the things within the book. So I want to spend some time and let's talk about characteristics of a kindness, respect, trust leader. You see, it's not just one piece. It is all of it. And to build trust within any organization, you need to start at the bottom because then it goes up and up. It's just like any other relationship. We work with each other and we talk to each other and things work if you're leading with kindness. Now, top characteristics of kindness. So I have a top 20, of course, and it is all taken out right here. And I know there we go. The lights on it is always good with the background there. But so the top 20 characteristics of a KRT leader. Number 1 is humility and empathy. Humility and empathy. 2, able to listen before speaking. I mentioned that active listening, right? You can build a relationship with your employees, not just one, all of them. You're authentic and genuine. You know how to handle problems and conflicts without yelling. You welcome diversity, difference of options, and you live outside of work. And right there, you live outside of work. Work is not your life, nor should it be anybody's life. So, curiosity and optimism. You can ask, what if? And you have fun and you're creative and you celebrate success. Celebrating success is amazing. Oh, sneeze, I think. Gotta love being live. Gotta love allergies. So, thinking about those things, humility and empathy. There's been many articles out there recently, and one of them is very, very specific about what the most important leadership skill is. Right there. Empathy is the most important leadership skill according to research. How many leaders do we know out there that don't have empathy? that don't have these things going on for them. So when we read it and we look down this path and we learn, empathy has always been a critical skill for leaders, but it's taking on a new level of meaning and priority. Far from a soft approach, it can drive significant business results. You see, you're always new demonstrated empathy is positive for people, but new research demonstrates its importance for everything from innovation to retention. Great leadership requires a fine mix of all kinds of skills to create conditions for engagement, happiness, performance, and empathy. Tops the list of what leaders must get right. The effects of stress. So the effects of stress, when you're in there, the reason empathy is so necessary is that people are experiencing multiple kinds of stress, and the data suggests it's affected by the pandemic and the ways our lives and work have been turned upside down. We know this, right? We know that your mental health, we have mental health, and that is something that, we know specifically 67% of people are experiencing increases in it. Personal lives, performance, worrying about your job. But empathy contributes to positive outcomes. But as we go through tough times, struggle with burnout, or find it challenging to find happiness at work, empathy can be a powerful antidote and contribute to positive experiences, right? When people reported their leaders were empathetic, they were more likely to report they were able to be innovative. Engagement, 76% of people who experienced empathy from their leaders reported they were engaged at work. Retention, 57% of white women and 62% of women of color said they were unlikely to think of leaving their companies when they felt their life circumstances were respected and valued by their companies. However, when they didn't feel that, they didn't have anything. You see inclusivity. 50% of people with empathetic leaders reported their workplace was inclusive, compared with only 17% of those with less empathetic leadership. Your work life, when people felt their leaders were more empathetic, 86% reported they were able to navigate demands of their work and life, successfully juggling their personal, family, and work obligations. This right here, empathy, leading with empathy. Leaders can demonstrate empathy in two ways, and I believe that we can do as much as we want here. First, they can consider someone else's thoughts through cognitive empathy. If I were in his or her position, what would I be thinking right now? And leaders can also focus on a person's feelings using emotional empathy. Being in his or her position, how would it make me feel? You see, it's interesting, right? So you think about this. Were you raised to even think about putting yourself in someone else's shoes? Do you treat the CEO with the same amount of respect as you do the janitor? You see, because leading with empathy is what's going to change our business. So going back here, leaders can demonstrate empathy in those ways, right? Leaders don't have to be experts in mental health in order to demonstrate they care. And great leadership also requires action. One leader likes to say, "You're behaving so loudly, I can hardly hear what you're saying." People will trust leaders and feel a greater sense of engagement and commitment when there's alignment between what the leader says and does. It's the saying and the doing, right? I mean, they just are not doing that, right? And empathy contributes to positive relationships and organizational cultures, and it also drives results. Empathy may not be brand new skill, but has a new level of importance. This importance, like there was no, this has been boiling up forever, and COVID hit. You see, bad behaviors in business have been allowed. We have allowed them. We have leaders that are not empathetic. We have leaders that yell and scream. This is who we are. But are those businesses going to be the ones that survive in the future? Society and the workforce are demanding better from all of us. So we talked about kindness, right? And we talked about the humility and empathy. Let's go down to the respect. So respect. You are honest and truthful with your employees. You have their back and you care about their careers. You coach and you teach. You don't dictate. You coach and teach, not dictate. Show respect towards all employees. You don't scold in public. Oh, goodness. We know this one, right? You scold in private, praise in public. Don't ever put down somebody in public. You don't do it. You bring them to the side and do it. For example, and I know respect towards all employees. For example, if you had an employee who was saying something sexist, racist, or homophobic, you're not going to call them out right then. You're going to take them to the side and you're going to say, what you said was blah, blah, blah. And I need you to understand that that is inappropriate. Imagine that conversation. Now, that's a hard conversation to have, but it's very worthwhile because people don't always know how things are. They may not even realize what they're saying is sexist, racist, or homophobic. You don't know that. I don't know that. But we have to make sure that we handle it with kindness, not being a big bully and putting it out right there in front of you and calling you out, right? Call outs don't work. I know people enjoy doing them, especially to belittle people, but they don't work. And so it is not something that we need to do. You are responsible. As a KRT leader, you are responsible and you have to follow up and tell people the why. And the why seems to be a big deal, right? Simon Sinek wants you to know your why. Brene Brown wants you to be vulnerable. I'm here to put it all together for you because managers that respect their employees keep their promises, their integrity. And let's not forget, it motivates and inspires others to build ownership in things because you want your employees to have ownership because that will give them a greater job satisfaction. And if they don't feel like they own something, then what the hell is the point in being there, right? What is the point? You motivate and you inspire others as you build ownership. You're confident and you don't play the blame game. Oh, goodness. The blame shame game. Blame shame, blame shame. Oh, goodness. I remember. And you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. It's been almost 6 years since I left my corporate job. I remember my boss. Her name was Betsy. Betsy wanted to make sure to shame and blame me when IT did not do their job because I must have not done the business requirements correctly. Oh my goodness. It is hysterical. I remember the day when I come in and I'm learning. I was away. I was actually on a birthday and I was gone and my team was handling things, which I told them they could handle. It was what it was. And I swear I get back from vacation and it's like, what went wrong? Nothing went wrong from our side. Why am I responsible for everybody else's job? They screwed it up. Why are you blaming me? They've already told you they messed up. It had nothing to do with my team or the business requirements. But she didn't want to listen. Why listen to someone who knew exactly what they were doing, who tried to tell you that we were working in a hostile work environment with an adult bully? But why would they want to listen? So that was really interesting. That was the birthday before I quit. I had already put in an HR complaint about how hostile my work environment was. I mean, Brent, Betsy, all of them. It was ridiculous. They actually, and what am I doing? I'm blaming somebody online for blaming me, right? So I am doing the blame shame game right here, aren't I? See how easy it is to get into it? You see, because we are so used to blaming someone else or shaming someone else. The answer would have been easily for Betsy to say, I understand you guys did a great job getting the business requirements. IT did not do everything that needed to be done, so we have to get this fixed. No big deal. But is that how it was handled? No. Screaming, yelling, inappropriateness, all of that. Then the blame game, to me blaming them here, to shaming them here, for them blaming and shaming me. This is the world that we live in. And it's so easy to get wrapped up in it. And lastly, for respect, I'm going to say it one more time. Don't play the blame game. You share the credit and you get done what has to be done. Everything is not going to be perfect. And the perfection word has always been my issue, right? Perfection. There's no such thing as perfection. We want perfection because we think there's something like that out there, but there's always going to be things that happen that don't always work out right. But we don't have to blame and shame people and yell at them because we're not happy how it worked out. It doesn't have to be that way. But yet, every day in workplaces, I hear your stories about how this goes. So we've talked about kindness, we've talked about respect. Now we're going to talk about trust. Trust is the top of the pyramid, right? And we've talked about how your humility and empathy down in kindness, you're going to lead with some kindness. You're going to respect them and be honest and truthful. And lastly, to get their trust, you're going to have to want change. I said it, want change. Because you see, wanting change, sticking to your convictions, making them proud of who you are as their leader, and you delegate, right? Once you get to that level, you want to have change. You want to stick to what the beliefs are. You are going to make them proud of who you are as their leader. Are you proud of your leader today? I tell you, there's not a lot of people who like their bosses out there. There's some good managers. There are some great leaders. But who are you? Or who do you want to be? That's really the best question of all. So, characteristics of a KRT leader. You see, it really is something where when you take the time to lead with your heart, to lead knowing that we are all human beings and that we are all here to work together. It is not us versus them. And that's what the command control culture wants you guys to have, right? They want you to believe it's us versus them, where I want us to understand that it's not. It's nurturing, it's equity, it's equality, it's diversity, it's inclusion. It's all the things of where we're going to go. We know this, right? We know this is where we're moving to. The writing's on the wall. But change is hard and people are afraid of change. I am not one of those people afraid of change. I absolutely enjoy change. So I'm here to help you change as well as help myself change in ways that to make everything better for the worlds we live in. Now, working in corporate America in big cities for quite a while, you start to think of things in a different way. And once you move to the small town, you realize corporate America is just one subsection of the same issue. The same thing is happening in small towns with small businesses. It's happening all over our politics because why is treating people with dignity and respect and not making fun of them or having to do those racist, sexist, and homophobic things such a hard thing to understand? I'm not so sure. Somebody out there once told me from HR, and I remember, we know you don't make even to what the men make. So go talk to your boss about it. So I went and talked to my boss about it. What my boss say? We don't have the budget. This is how we've allowed things to continue. Unequal pay is out there. Pay audits. We're talking about empathy here, but pay audits are also part of the future. Companies need independent pay audits to prove that they're paying equally. And in fact, companies need the business case for kindness to make them lots of money. Because you see, when you use, and I've got some really pretty birds flying out right in front of me. Sorry, I looked up there for a second. When you see how much more productive, how much more happy, how much more respectful people are when you start leading with kindness, because you see your company is going to transform. Your company is going to transform in a way that you don't even realize yet, because kindness does that. So in the book, in the last part of the book, I actually did write out the business case for you. And it's very interesting because you can lead through and see easily how the business case works. And so, for example, I'm just going to go and I'll give a few examples here of the business case of the numbers. So When I started tackling the business case for kindness, I knew it was a business case for the future. And by making the changes discussed in this book, organization and businesses will be leading with the future of equality, equity, diversity, and inclusion. Anyone who doesn't make the changes are going to be left behind. And that's what workers are saying right now. We don't want your shit anymore. Pay us a decent wage and start treating us with kindness. That's what they're all talking about. And that's why the mass exodus is happening. People aren't going to put up with this anymore. Did you know that office employees are only productive around 3 to 5 hours per shift? Did you know that retail and service industry workers are only productive for 5 out of 8-hour shifts? The average worker productivity is around 60% a day. That means 40% of the time they're not. We can try to blame all of this on technology laziness, but that isn't the case. The case is that, as you learned repeatedly here, we are our own worst enemy, and we must make the changes needed. I really hope some of these numbers shock you and your companies will into immediate action. Don't you want to be the leader that transforms your company? Because you can be. That's the cool part. Like, the book tells you exactly what to do, how to do it. Because yes, I wrote MMPs for many, many years, methods and procedures to tell people how to get stuff done, as well as many, many business cases, and saved over $1 billion, a couple $1 billion probably at this point with all the annualized revenue. It's really cool when you start digging into it. So cost savings will occur. So let's think about these assumptions and let's think about this, right? If we start leading with kindness, guess what's going to happen for companies? There will be a decrease in lawsuits. Imagine that. Imagine what we don't see, right? All the lawsuits that happen, because it's called a gag order for a reason. You're not allowed to talk about it. So we don't know a lot what happens, but imagine a decrease in lawsuits, how much that could save your company. Your employee retention will increase. So your employee turnover will slow down. Customer retention will increase because employers will be treating customers better. Employees will perform better at their jobs with increased productivity. I also say that companies should give a percentage to charity and nonprofits with their new mission, and will increase customers by doing that. And there will be ongoing costs associated with the change, which will be higher in the first few years because you're going to be fixing the wrongs that are discussed. Because guess what, companies? It's time to make sure you're paying people equally. In fact, it's time to get rid of all of those. There was like 10,000 different job descriptions in one company. What? No. Why is there 10,000 job descriptions? No. You're a director. I get it. Director of operations. Director of call center, director of call center. Director of something. All should be. We make this so difficult, and it doesn't have to be. Now, I know we all want people to work harder, and we like our bonus structures along those lines. But bonus structures have to be made in a way that will work for everyone, not just the people at the top. Because I will tell you, oh my goodness, I remember one year, I was in a part of the business that had nothing to do with phone lines and the losing and the decrease of the phone lines. And yet my bonus was tied to phone lines. What? Then I remember as a company, they wanted everybody to work together to help, again, the people with the phone lines, which was a dying business, work better. So all of us had to go into this together, and all of us were like, why are we responsible for what they're doing? I get it. When you have 200,000 employees in your company, AT&T, you don't want to pay them all bonuses. I get it. But when you make it where a bonus for your work has nothing to do with you, that's the problem. And companies do that all the time, right? They make it so you can't make your bonuses. And I'm starting to tear up because I know a lot of people who have missed out on this. In fact, I had a good friend who wasn't allowed to take a promotion to make more money because his boss didn't want to lose him. His boss thought he was so great. He didn't want to lose him. So this is what he did. He kept him. Yeah, no. All right. So think about it this way. And I have a couple different assumptions here, and I based them on 200,000. I'll do the big one first here on 200,000 employees, right? And figuring out what the increase in everything would be just alone, right? So we want to give, I believe that easily by leading with kindness, your business is going to have a 25% decrease in legal and human resources due to less lawsuits, right? You're going to have a 25% increase in retention of your employees. You're also going to have that would have left, and a 50% increase in customer retention due to happier employees treating customers better. 50% of employee base are going to have a 30-minute productivity increase. Now, I have met at 52 weeks at 5 days a week. 50% of management base, 1 hour productivity increase. Additional customers due to new mission statement and better customer service. Companies will give 20% of their new revenue ongoing to nonprofits and charities. I said 20%. 20%. Yes, 20%. We have more people right now. Our poverty levels are not good. Our food deserts within the United States are not good. But we, as companies, it's our role to help society and to help the places that we do business in. So any nonprofit out there needs money to do these things. And I'll tell you, it's amazing to me. There are very large nonprofits out there, and their CEOs make a lot of money. That's not the point of a nonprofit. The CEO should not be making $1 million to run a nonprofit. I'm sorry, no. That is absolutely ridiculousness. We have allowed, I say this, it's funny to me when you start digging into it, nonprofits, the bigger nonprofits, that's probably not where you want to spend your money either. I know they need money too, but I'm going to tell you who really needs them. Small towns. So many small towns in the United States need your help. There are nonprofits out here. I work with many nonprofits, and we are always working to get money. But you know what the hard part is? The people with the money give the money to the big nonprofits. Let's stop doing that. How about we give it all to the small nonprofits because they all need it? Imagine $1 million, right? Just $1 million, which would be what? That's 1/1,000,000th of what Jeff Bezos is worth. $1 million, right? 1/1,000,000th maybe, because he has so much money. $1 million could transform my town. Think about that. $1 million could transform a small town. $1 million. So, giving to charities, nonprofits, and of course, I believe that the cost to implement this, it's going to cost more money because you're going to have to raise wages. But raising the wages, it all works out in the end. So for an example of a company of 200,000 plus employees, I did the example, and the total savings per year, I'm just sitting here going like the number is amazing. And I know that is the total savings per year, everyone. Over $1 billion. $1 billion by being nice to your employees and following the business case for kindness. Now, of course, that's the savings. And of course, your additional donations to nonprofits out of that $1.44 billion, that's $288 million. Think about it, $288 million. As 288 small towns, we could literally transform. How cool would that be? And then, of course, the cost to implement the changes, which I said would be about 25%. So in the end, you may save $1.4 billion, but after the cost, look at that. You still, oh my God, $750 million. $750 million. And that is for a large company. So let's go to the smallest company. And I think I did a 50,000 employee company. I did a 2,000. Let's do the 2,000 employee company. So even with the 2,000 employee company, right? Look at that. Look at that money that they're going to save. $1 million. They could save $1 million. And then that means that they have, if they save $1 million minus the cost to implement changes. Now, the cost to implement the changes for a smaller company, it costs more because they're smaller. And I wanted to put that in there because we know that smaller companies may not have it, but they, no matter what, will be in the positive, right? They can save $1 million. Then their additional donations to nonprofits, $322 $322,000. And then their cost to implement still leaves you with $342,000. And you still, with a company of 2,000 employees, I just gave you $342,000. Now, if you can implement it less, that would be amazing. But think about it. There is no way it's not positive. And that right there is the coolest part of all. Because leading with kindness is always going to get you where you got to go. And I know I'm jumping because it makes me so excited. Because kindness is our path forward. I mean, we see it, right? I mean, Gary Vaynerchuk is out there doing what he needs to be doing, talking about it. We have women out there talking about, in fact, let's talk about Spanx. We have a billionaire business owner, this woman, and they told her no the whole way along the line. Because you know what she did? She led with kindness and she worked with her people. And what did she do for her employees? She gave them a huge bonus and 2 round-trip tickets anywhere in the world, first class, because she knows how to treat her employees. And those are the leaders we should be following. So I want to go back over to the anti-work real fast and see, because there is one here that I want to pull up. Let's see here. All right, we're going to share that. I'm going to pull it back up on your screen the whole way. So that is the one we were on. Don't waste kilogram. I'm going on down here. This is a great one. I know this is norm in America, but getting home at 6 p.m. and having 2 to 3 hours to yourself every night is the craziest shit ever. This was my first week as a supervisor. I saw an employee limping. I asked him if he was okay. He basically said he was fine in an apologetic manner and told me he'd work faster. I stopped him, looked him in the eyes and said, "Don't let these people work you to death." This grown man started crying. He wanted to go to the hospital, but was scared to ask for time off. I told him to go and to not worry about it. He cried more. Capitalism is a death cult. It really, bosses stealing tips. This one's always good. Hey, I was wondering if you could stay late tonight. There's an open on shift that needs to get covered. I can have you off at 5 a.m. so you have time to sleep between your shifts. Really? Yeah, I already, right here. I'm a caregiver. My boss just scheduled me for a 20-hour shift. Y'all know this. I mean, it's amazing how inappropriate this is. Like, why would you even think that? Let's see here. Demand a 3-day weekend, 1 day for rest, 1 day for chores, and 1 day for leisure. 32 hours is full time. Imagine that. I actually talk about in my book about making sure that you do give your employees time off. In fact, I also think you need to give time off to let them go work for their nonprofits. They should be working at their nonprofits and helping with that, because really it should be easy to do. So working these things, it's amazing what you can see here. I find, there you go. There was never a shortage of work, just wage labor. If you're unemployed, it's not because there isn't any work. Just look around. A housing shortage, crime, pollution. We need better schools and parks. And as long as we have unsatisfied needs, there's work to be done. So ask yourself, what kind of world has work but no jobs? It's a world where work is not related to satisfying our needs. A world where work is only related to satisfying the profit needs of business. This country was not built on the huge corporations or government bureaucracies. It was built by the people who work, and it's working people who should control the work to be done. Yet as long as employment is tied to somebody else's profit, the work won't get done. Profits. It's ridiculous, right? People over profits. And I don't understand why we have felt this way. And you go back in history, it's not like we haven't been here before. We have. It has been people over profits. And I should say profits over people, never people over profits. It should be people over profits, but it's not. It's profits over people, because that's the most important thing to make more money. So I really want to thank everyone for coming in today and chatting about the business case for kindness. I'm gonna read one more story, and then we're gonna look at a few great things that are on my website. In fact, I think human resource. I'm just going to give a layoff example here. It's the layoff surplus examples, and I say it's KRT in action. Human resources come in and provides guidance. This guidance is what leads to who gets fired and who gets to stay. This was literally one layoff while I was working there. And these are all different things that happened. Bob is gone due to being the newest member of the team, even though he's the highest ranking member. Alexandra's gone because she's rated low because her manager doesn't like her because she's a woman. Rob is gone because he has the highest salary on the team and is over 60. Tamara's gone because she is not a team player and transgender. Kelly's gone due to being rated low because she was out on disability last year to a surgery that was approved by the business. This is what HR allows. And I saw it. In fact, I actually talked people out of not laying off people the way that they were planning on to, because people were going to do the bad thing and the wrong thing. And no. You lay off, layoffs are no fun. People don't want to do it. So why are we doing it? 21 years straight, AT&T, why are you doing it? That's my question. In 1980, and this goes back to the nonprofits, in 1980, there were only a few hundred emergency food programs across the country. Today, there's over 50,000. 1 in 6 people report running out of food at least once per year. And in many European countries, by contrast, the number is closer to 1 in 20. United States, are we the best? We can be. We can be the best place to work. We can be the best place to live. But the us versus them has to stop. So I'm going to quickly, and I had the book, I had where I wanted it, but I changed my mind on which example I wanted to give. We're going to do another inaction because a lot of my book is talking about learning from the past and how we can make things better. And you learn from stories and you learn from what has happened to other people. So Viola has worked for Amand for approximately 1 year. Amand wants to make decisions on everything without adequate information. Amand likes to blame people and yell and scream when things do not go flawlessly. I used the word perfection earlier, but flawlessly, that's a fun word too. Amand does not trust or respect his employees. Viola is tired of her manager making decisions and not understanding the outcomes. His latest decision made the sales system stop working. During the weekly meeting, Viola explained to him what happened and how Viola's team fixed the sales systems. She explained how trust, respect was key to any relationship. Amand took offense to the discussion and told Viola that trust and respect has nothing to do with business. She needed to go do her job and stop making waves. Don't make waves. Don't ever make waves. Amand is clearly not working with his employees' interests on the forefront. He's still working in the command and control culture. If the KRT model was being used, then Viola's concerns would have been listened to and discussed. Amand would not be yelling, screaming, and blaming people. He would be using problem solving and conflict resolution skills to find the best solution. So the book is great. It is a business case. It is an MMP. It is everything you need to help your business, your small town. We have to face the facts that the bad behaviors are out there. Hostile work environments, adult bullies, all the discriminations. And, we have to become a leader that we are proud of not allowing those things. Because you see, that's not the country we want to live in. The United States, this works for any country. Nobody wants to be treated like crap. So let's stop doing it, everyone. We can be better. So the business case for kindness is set up into a few parts. Part 1 is how we got here. So I actually go through the history, background definitions. Millennials are our future. Media's effect on all of us, our pay income gap, and income inequality. Then we go into chapter 2, which is about the bad and the ugly. The adult bullies, the gaslighting. Human resources is a problem. Discrimination, bias, stereotypes, harassment, retaliation, women leaders. For that section. Chapter 3, this isn't rocket science. And I actually go through the customer experience, the real reasons employees quit their jobs, which hasn't changed. They quit because they're boss. And if you have a bad boss, a hostile work environment, they're going to quit. The real employee engagement. And then what is a KRT leader? Then I get into part 2. which is chapter 4, the whole KRT model. We go through every step 1, 2, 3, kindness, respect, and trust, and give examples of how to do it. In chapter 5, must have leadership skills, active listening, problem solving, conflict resolution, and how to give feedback, which is super important. Then you've got your business case cost benefit model, which is chapter 6. And lastly, chapter 7, putting it all together. You see, I know that kindness is our path forward. I do. I know the business case for kindness is. This right here is the blueprint for what we need. And we're changing so fast. If you're ready to do it, I'm telling you it's here. So I really want to share with you guys a few things from my website. So that way you can see what is going on. I do have not just my book, but I do have merchandise as well on my website. And you can see here, I'm going to make it and go bigger. There we go. So the book is $22.99. I have Kindness Matters sticker for your car or your notebook, whatever. I have Be Kind to All bracelets. I also have t-shirts, both in V-neck. I'm working on the new logo shirt. Right now we have V-neck and crew neck. It is in green and black. We also have a purple Kindness Matters sticker as well. But all of this can be mailed to you. If I get your orders pretty quickly, I can get them out to you before Christmas. And that is the key, because going forward, us working together is the way. And knowing that the business case for kindness is our path forward. So, I know that some of you may not know who I am, but I will tell you, go read about me. I 100% believe in kindness. I know that kindness is our path forward. I am here to change us. I say change us. I'm here to help lead us. I don't want to change. People are afraid of the word change. So I'm going to say the word lead us into the future, because women, men, all of us, we can work together. We can do what needs to be done to make workplaces better. We can do what needs to be done to make our politics better, our family life better, all of it, because leading with kindness is our path forward. So I want to thank all of you for joining today. It was a fun discussion, and let me see. I don't think I do, but I'm going to check and see if I've got any questions. I don't have any questions that I see at this point. So next time, please send me your questions, Cherie at bekindtoall.com. I am here to answer your questions. We're going to start doing weekly, and we're going to start digging into this, new rules, how we can help HR, all of those things. So just be setting up, because this year, 2022, baby, 2020 and 2021, honestly, we've learned a lot. So much. We've opened our eyes to. But those issues were here before 2020 and 2021. And now it's time. And I'm just so excited, because originally the book was called Leadership for 2025, because I knew that the change was coming. But the business case for kindness has gotten us here. We can transform not just corporate America. We can transform our worlds. We can transform our communities. We can transform our small businesses. We can transform our lives by leading with kindness, right? So I really want to thank everybody who joined today, and on the replay as well. Seriously, don't hesitate to email me. I am here to help you. That is my role in all of this. I am here to help us. We can be the change we want to see in this world, and I really do believe that we are the change. So I'm going to read you a couple quotes, because these really, I put quotes in my book because I really think it's important that we get to where we need to go and understand that things aren't where they were before. So as I'm finding the quote I want to use, the truth is a virus, and kindness is the truth, is my answer on that. The truth is a virus. That actually came up from the movie Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater. And if you haven't watched it, it really will. It is something that is quite amazing. So the truth is a virus. And once we start talking to it and dealing with it and speaking the truth, we're going to get there where we need to get there. So it just takes some time to be where we need to be. So I am going to pull up one more, and I think it is right. No, that's a different section there. If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant has its foot on the tail of a mouse and you say that you are neutral, that mouse will not appreciate your neutrality. And that's from Bishop Desmond Tutu, who's a Nobel Peace Prize winner. If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor. Keep standing up. Business case for kindness, pay audits. This world is changing, and I want to thank all of y'all for being here. And I'm just going to end just to show you guys, because I do care about my community. I ran for city council last year, and I just want to share my commercial with you. So thank you so much for everything. And I am going to go ahead and I am going to remove myself from the stream, and you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you. Sheree at BeKind, Sheree at BeKindAll.com.
Hi, I'm Sheree Krim, candidate for Panama City Beach, City Council, Ward 4. I'm running because I love our city. I have the experience and dedication to make a difference here. I believe our government should listen to and work for its people. I will be focusing on our community, our environment, and I will always be an advocate for transparency. On April 21st, vote for me, Sheree. My name is Sheree Krim, candidate for Panama City Beach, City Council, Ward 4. I approve this advertisement.